Please go ahead, ma'am.
Can you unmute me?
I think you are muted. Aarti, we can't hear you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's webinar. I'll try and say a few words in Georgian, which is Gamarjoba, Mugezalmebit, Tvelas, Damadlobas, Gichtit, Monatsileoistvis. I hope that made sense. It is a pleasure to organize this webinar focused on India-Georgia relations as we strive to open new vistas in our trade and investment ties. We are happy to announce that India is also sending vaccines to Georgia, which is the latest news, an outcome of the delegation that had visited India recently. We're privileged to have Indian states amongst us today. From Maharashtra, we have Abhishek Krishnaji, Joint CEO IT from MIDC, and Mrs. Gunjan Krishna, Commissioner for Industrial Development Director, will join us later from Karnataka. Invested here represented by Manan Jaisinghani, the Senior Investment Specialist, and from the CIS region. We are honored to have both the Excellency Mr. K.D. Deval, Ambassador of India to Georgia and Armenia, and His Excellency Mr. Archil Juliashvili, the Ambassador of Georgia to India, with us today. Special thanks to the Georgian Chamber of Commerce and Industry and Enterprise, Georgia, for joining us, as well as our partners, POTI FIZ, Mr. David Erbaladze and Tamar Saakashvili. Without delaying any further, I now invite Mr. B.V. Naidu, who is the Chairman, Karnataka State Development Council, ASSOCHAM, to kindly set the context for today's webinar. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Aarti. Thank you. And His Excellency Archil Julishwal and His Excellency Mr. Deval, Ambassador of India to Georgia, and Georgie, President of Georgian Chamber of Commerce and Industries, and Mr. Manan, Senior Investment Specialist, Invest India, Mr. Abhishek Krishna, Joint CEO IT Maharashtra, and ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure for me to welcome you all for this webinar on opportunities for collaboration between India and Georgia. As Aarti said that this is we are, just today, I believe, it has been agreed that India is going to send some vaccine to Georgia. This is a great beginning and great gesture from India and supporting Georgia. And I'm sure that will lead to a lot more stronger collaboration as we move on. And also, as you all know, that we are working towards creating a free trade agreement between India and Georgia. So with all these things are happening, the timing is perfect. The timing for such a dialogue is perfect, and we need to redefine the relationship between India and Georgia. As you all know, that India and Georgia represent two ancient civilizations of the world. They are geographically not much far from each other, and both the countries survived many historic challenges and had a strong trade links in the past. After that, the things started moving again, building the trade relationship with our foreign office consultations, which I started probably in 2004. And I think 4 consultations have happened. And during 2010, the Embassy of Georgia started in New Delhi. The reason why I'm telling these things these are all the progress that are made in building the relationship, including the intergovernmental consultations that are started in 2014 as further strengthened our cooperation. And recently, our External Affairs Minister of India, Mr. Jaishankar, and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Georgia, Mr. David Jai Kalyani, had a virtual discussion on January 4th to further strengthen our bilateral cooperation. With all these things, right now the trade is at $100 million between India and Georgia, but there is a huge scope for further strengthening that. Currently, the Indian investments are on the steel sector, infrastructure and agricultural farming, and some of the service sectors. But that is not sufficient. The reason why I say it is not sufficient is because, as you all know, the India as a country is looked upon when it comes to the IT-related services. Indian manufacturing goods like the textiles and pharmaceuticals, cars and electronic goods recently, has given a lot of emphasis. Our government of India, one side we as an IT services, we have taken a premium position, but on the electronics manufacturing, when we are, next to China, that is when the government given enough emphasis for our Make in India program. And as in the Make in India program, a lot of emphasis has been given for the electronics manufacturing. With that, India has become the second largest manufacturer of the mobile telephones and moving towards becoming a, alternate to our neighboring country when it comes to the electronics manufacturing. And these are all the areas which will throw up new opportunities for us to build a relationship. And we believe that, the Georgia could be the gateway for Europe. That way, Indian trade can reach out to the European countries, through Georgia. And not just that, we could build a much larger relationship. There are 3 areas of the cooperation I think we could focus. 4 areas. One is an IT services. Our IT services are known worldwide, and we can position, our IT industry can position well to support Georgia. Number 2, our Digital India program is one of the well-recognized program across the world. Our government has given a huge emphasis on the Digital India, and when it comes to the digitizing the government services, when it comes to the digitizing the payments, when it comes to the digitizing the gateways, payment gateways, the India stands number 1 right now. So that can become a model for Georgia to replicate. I'm sure that our government will can support you in the Digital India, replicating our Digital India experience to make the Georgia digital. And the third, as I said, that the manufacturing, we are becoming a huge manufacturing giant, that is a lot of investments are flowing into our country, and we could become a potential and alternate manufacturing hub for the country, other countries in the world. And I'm sure that a lot more we can, cooperate on that. With that, there is a sustained partnerships can be built in the knowledge intensive service sectors. And we already have a good cooperation in the education, particularly medical education, and we can continue to grow that. And we can focus on the emerging niche sectors like the renewable energy and green energy, because India has seen a tremendous growth last few years in these sectors. So in my personal opinion, these are all the few sectors which has the potential to grow between the, India and Georgia. I'm sure ASSOCHAM, working with the government of India, can be a facilitator and supporter to increase such a trade between India and Georgia. With these few words, I see an excellent panel as Aarti mentioned, we have people from the Maharashtra government, Karnataka government, and POTI. And in fact, I must tell you, way back 2009, I had an opportunity of visiting Georgia, and I landed at Tbilisi and then had a 5-hour drive to Portly port to visit the Portly port. That time there was some discussions of privatizing the Portly port. As a part of that, I visited that, and I could see the beautiful scenic mountains in Georgia. It's a very, very nice climate, and I had an opportunity to have a nice dinner on one of the mountaintop restaurant hosted by my partner there. And that gave me a first perspective of the country and the warmth of the people there. The people are very, very warm, and I could able to experience. I saw personally myself how warm the people are. With that few words, I welcome you all, and I'm sure that this webinar will be quite useful for the people both in Georgia and in India, our corporate sector and the government sector. Thank you. Thank you, Aarti.
Thank you, Mr. Naidu, sir. We made a note of some of the comments that you've given, as well as the sectors that you've highlighted, as well as stress on people-to-people connect and cultural connect between the two countries. As you know, leading chambers and apex chambers from countries across the globe play a very important role in ensuring business continuity and enhancing trade and investment ties between India and those respective countries. We have with us the Georgian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, represented by Mr. Georgi Pertea. I would request him to kindly speak about the chamber, its activities, and how we can collaborate to enhance bilateral trade and investment ties between the two countries. Over to you, Mr. Pertea.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'm very happy to be with you online today. I think this kind of events really helping increasing in trade, attracting foreign direct investments to our countries. But first, what this kind of meetings are doing, they are raising the interest to the countries, because even though Mr. Naidu mentioned that we are not far away from each other, we still don't know about each other a lot. And I think that when we say I'm saying about a lot. I mean, the massively in our countries, people don't know each other. So I think that this is a great opportunity. And I'm sure that once people understand the opportunities that they can see in our countries, there will be a lot of interest, a lot of traveling, and a lot of cooperation. Chamber of Commerce of Georgia, our Chamber of Commerce and Industry, is the biggest business supporting organization in our country. We are half government organization, but based on the membership. And we have quite close cooperation with our international colleagues, and I think that we can in the future cooperate more because of this very difficult times. It's quite postponed a lot of things. We had a plan to meet with our colleagues from India in Paris in World Chambers Federation, where we both are the members, and I'm sure that in the nearest future we can elaborate more about our increasing of the trade and attracting foreign direct investments. Well, COVID-19 had an impact on business worldwide, and 2020 was indeed a challenging year. However, I strongly believe that 2021 also provides opportunities to explore new formats of cooperation. For past several years, there has been a growing interest to enhance trade economic relations from both Georgia and India, evident from progressing trade agreement negotiations. I strongly believe that free trade agreement will have a very positive effect on promoting trade, as well as inclusive and sustainable economic development based on a mutual commitment to shape closer business-to-business relations, as well as investment opportunities in such crucial areas as pharmaceutical, information technologies, tourism, education, health, energy, and the environmental sectors. I also would like to highlight that feasibility study conducted by Joint Research Group indicates that the free trade agreement between Georgia and India will positively affect the economic prosperity of both countries. Moreover, the liberal trade in terms of goods and services, as well as the investments, will facilitate the creation of new opportunities for businesses and create the new jobs in our countries. And as a president of the largest business support organizations in Georgia, I can assure you that Georgian business is ready to take action and take advantage of prospects brought by free trade agreement. Businesses I'm 100% sure that businesses in India are in the same page. In conjunction with free trade agreement, Georgia can offer a very interesting opportunities for businesses. During my years in public service, as an advisor to the Prime Minister of Georgia and Director of Investment Agency, I had an opportunity to observe and participate in shaping investment environment of Georgia, and I can say with confidence that today Georgia offers one of the most investor-friendly and pro-business environments in the world. This is evident from our international rankings. If you look at the World Bank Doing Business survey, if you look at the Forbes survey, Heritage Foundation rankings, etc., etc. Also, the tax regime and very business-friendly legislation, which will be discussed in more details today by colleagues from Enterprise Georgia and POTI Free Industrial Zone. I strongly believe that organizations such as Chamber of Commerce, investment agencies, and business support organizations generally will have a significant role in advancing business-to-business relations and pave the way to a new stage of our cooperation in coming decades. I think I'll stop here because we have great speakers from Georgia, and I think that they will cover a lot of interesting parts that I wanted to cover actually, because I was as I said, I was previously head of investment agency, and this is the job where you can talk about Georgia for hours and hours and hours. I think that I'll stop right here, and thank you for attention. I wish you all health to you and to your families in this very difficult time. And I'm sure that today we'll have a very productive event. Thank you.
Matloba, Mr. Pertaya, thank you for your comments and for highlighting the key sectors in which we can cooperate, as well as telling us how good a destination for Indian investment Georgia can be. As you know, India is one of the fastest growing economies of the world. OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, has raised India's economic growth forecast for the year 2021-2022 to 12.6%. This would enable India to retain its earlier tag of the fastest growing large economy of the world. India would obviously like to enhance its trade and investment ties with countries across the globe. But how can India grow its investment ties with countries? How easy is it to do business in India and with India? What are the policy changes that make India an attractive investment destination? These are some of the questions that can best be answered by Invest India, the National Investment Promotion and Facilitation Agency of the Government of India. We have with us Manan Jaisinghani from the CIS team, Senior Investment Specialist from Invest India. I request Manan to throw light on the activities of Invest India and how they can support investment flow, even from outbound investment flow, if that's possible, from India to Georgia, and speak about Invest India activities. Over to you, Manan.
Thank you, Aarti. I hope I'm audible. Yeah, okay. So very good afternoon to all, and I hope everybody's doing healthy and well. My name is, again, just to introduce while Aarti gave a wonderful introduction, it's Mananjay Singhani, and I'm leading the CIS region desk at Invest India. And, through this platform, I would like to, take the opportunity to reiterate to our Georgian friends that post the pandemic and, with fresh enthusiasm, India is looking to get back on track on being the fastest growing large economy. Aarti already mentioned one OECD report. Another report, a bit more conservative, but from the United Nations, expects India's growth to bounce back to 7.3% this calendar year. And as the National Investment Promotion Agency of the country, we are focusing on facilitating investments and providing handholding support to investors across all countries. And particularly, I assure you, even though the foreign direct investment in the past has been $40 million, we categorize Georgia as a priority country and would like our friends to explore the vast economic opportunity that India has to offer. The relations between Georgia and India, date back to ancient times, and Indian films and cuisines are popular in Georgia, and there are several Indian restaurants as well. And I believe that while we look to further strengthen our economic cooperation, we need to focus our energies also towards cultural exchanges between our communities. Georgia, compared to India, may be a small country, but there is an abundance of interesting things about Georgia, such as the food, it being the birthplace of winemaking, UNESCO heritage sites, and love for guests, which is something the Indian community can reciprocate and like to participate with as well. I feel these interesting facts, should be promoted a lot more to the Indian community and industry so that we can expand our scope of collaboration. Like, for example, a low-hanging fruit, like which comes to my mind living in Delhi, is that with Georgia and India being a paradise for vegetarians, we should work towards encouraging the opening of Georgian restaurants in India, which I'm not particularly sure if they exist. And lastly, as Aarti mentioned, we at Invest India, continue to engage with our counterparts at Enterprise Georgia to exchange information and interest from the Indian business community with respect to opportunities in Georgia, and at the same time are very happy to receive the same from them as well, and offer all the support to Georgians considering India as an investment destination. Our activities, include pre-facilitation, pre-investment to facilitation, implementation of the project to aftercare and issue redressal. We're not-for-profit organization in the government of India under the Ministry of Commerce to handhold and support investors. So I would, add my, while we are in touch with our counterpart and embassies on both sides, I would still add my email address and details for the benefit of all the participants, and please feel free to reach out with any questions and concerns, and if we can support you in any which way. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you, Manan. We will have a post-webinar report in which we will share the contact details of all the speakers. So I'm sure interested companies would reach out to Invest India and vice versa. We, as you mentioned, a people-to-people connect and a cultural connect between India and Georgia is very important. From the days that I lived in Russia, know Georgian cuisine, and I'm very fond of it. It's a great idea if we can have some restaurants open in India. That would be very nice. We also have a large amount of medical students that go to study in Georgia. So this people-to-people connect is very, very important, along with the business opportunities that both countries have to offer. So thank you. Now, as we know, and also Manan said, India and Georgia are two ancient civilizations, historically close ties, but how can these ties be translated into enhanced economic collaboration? And how can we grow the trade and investment basket between the two countries? To provide a Georgian perspective on how the two countries can collaborate to grow trade and investment, we have with us the Ambassador of Georgia to India, Mr. Archil Dulyashvili. He's been here for quite a few years. a very interesting person with a lot of strong views, and I really look forward to hearing from him. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it's a great pleasure for me to address these distinguished participants of this webinar. Let me extend my sincere gratitude to the organizers of event ASSOCHAM and the POTI Free Industrial Zone. I would like to underline that India was one of the first countries which recognized Georgia and established diplomatic relations in September 1922. Since the establishment of relations, our countries enjoy friendly and fruitful cooperation. We have a very positive political dialogue. We highly value the firm support of India, Georgia's sovereignty and territorial integrity. I hope that along with the improvement of the global pandemic situation, once the movement of the people are restored, high-level visit will be exchanged between our countries again. We had a very good cooperation established between our ministries of the foreign services. We have Intergovernmental Economic Cooperation Commission, which is meeting on the yearly basis. Now our deputy minister is visiting India, Mr. Alexander Khtusiashvili, and we had a very fruitful meetings. We actually discussed all range of cooperation and development. So along with dynamically developing political relations, the quite solid legal base was created also between our countries, which also undoubtedly support our bilateral trade and economic relations. Several memorandums were signed, and also recent years between the various trade communities, there were exchange of views how to move forward our cooperation. I'm confident in this regard that the opening of the Embassy of India in Georgia will be a very important step in that regard. So let me highlight three key directions which should be properly developed in the near future. First of all, I would like to underline the importance of implementing the connectivity projects between India and Georgia. In this regard, let me stress that the importance of developing a southwest multimodal transport corridor. It's a utmost important and a very important project between us to connect our ancient civilizations. How it was mentioned here, yes, Georgia and India were very strongly linked during the centuries, and we are looking forward that we are going to bring the new touch in our cooperation. So the main role of the Southwest Corridor to develop connectivity between European Union countries and India and also Georgia. I believe that in this context, important to develop cooperation between Georgian and Indian ports also. We have some memorandums of understanding between our ports in the process, and hopefully we are going to sign them soon also. Secondly, I'm confident that starting the direct flights, commercial flights between our countries is a very important step of boosting trade and economic cooperation, people-to-people contacts, connectivities, and tourism. In this regard, air service agreement is already signed between our countries in 2017, and recently several direct charter flights were conducted between our countries, bringing basically the back Indian students to Georgia, continue their studies in the educational institutions of Georgia. In total, we conducted 16 charter flights between our countries. It was done by Air India, Indigo, and SpiceJet. And I do hope that as soon as the situation related to the COVID-19 pandemic improves, direct regular commercial flights between our countries will start operating. And finally, very important in bilateral trade is the signing of the free trade agreement between Georgia and India. It will be the key driver for future expanding economic cooperation. Georgia and India signed joint protocol of feasibility studies of FTA in January 2019. And now we are closely coordinating with the Ministry of Commerce and Industry of India and the Ministry of Economic and Sustainable Development of Georgia in order to plan the first round of negotiations in the near future. So I fully acknowledge in the same time that the numbers in the bilateral trade turnover between our countries are very low. and there is a big potential to further explore. I'm delighted that we already have Indian investment in Georgia. Few of them are very successful investments like Charat Valley done by Tata Power and Geosteel. Let me know that quite a big potential also in developing bilateral cooperation in the sectors of defense and security. Cooperation in the film industry, which was mentioned here, is another success story in bilateral relations. I'm proud that the recent years, several Indian movies were shot in Georgia under the special program film in Georgia. Also, fruitful cooperation in the field of education should be mentioned also. As I said, that we already conducted charter flights, and there is an increasing numbers of the Indian students they want to study in Georgia. And also, India is offering professional training courses regularly to the Georgians and under the high-tech courses, and we are very delightful that many Georgian professionals came here to go this professional training, through this professional training. So this is what actually I wanted to say, and once again, let me thank the organizers for giving this opportunity to address this distinguished audience, and hoping that with the joint efforts, we will be able to increase our bilateral trade and economic cooperation in the future. Thank you very much for that.
Madhova, Your Excellency, thank you very much. Some key points in terms of connectivity, in terms of establishing a mission in Georgia, people-to-people connect, as well as some sectors that you've highlighted. Defense, I think, Manan, defense is your cup of tea. Maybe we should take this forward. Media and entertainment, locales in Georgia. It's a beautiful country. Education and professional training. So we made a note of all of this. We are definitely going to mention them in the post webinar report, and consider them key takeaways and take them forward with both the business communities and chambers and investment promotion agencies. We move now from a Georgian perspective to an Indian perspective on how we can enhance trade and investment ties between our two democracies. I request His Excellency Mr. K.D. Deval, Ambassador of India to Georgia and Armenia, to kindly address the webinar. Over to you, sir. So you'll have to unmute yourself. You're on mute. Yeah.
Thank you, Aarti. Am I audible now? Sorry for, I think from your side somebody muted me. So His Excellency Ambassador Archie Julius Willi, Mr. B.V. Naidu, Chairman of the Karnataka State Development Council, Mr. Georgi Pertaya, President of Georgian Chamber of Commerce, dear esteemed colleagues, it's my privilege to be participating in today's webinar, which has focused on Georgia and opportunities for collaboration. It is a welcome step that during this pandemic time, when all our normal activities are halted, ASSOCHAM has come up with this seminar to discuss about possible opportunities between India and Georgia. I appreciate the efforts of ASSOCHAM to organize this webinar in this regard. As Ambassador Julius Willi mentioned and one more colleague mentioned, India and Georgia share centuries-old cultural bonds. When I visited the National Museum of Georgia last time, I was pleasantly surprised to find many ancient symbols of India which were excavated in the Georgian territory. And some of them include symbols of swastika engraved on various objects that were found, including on gold jewelry, utensils, and other pots. India is the largest democracy, and we see that Georgia has now is on the path of emerging as one of the mature democracy in the former USSR area. The cultural bonds between India and Georgia are further cemented by love for Bollywood movies and music. Name of Raj Kapoor is a household name in Georgia. And in fact, when I visit Georgia or any restaurant or normal public place, people will start singing songs, Awa Rahu. And several movies, as Ambassador mentioned, several movies are being shot in Georgia, which is a very welcome step. Sometime to our amusement, they are showing Georgia as Switzerland in Indian movies, but still it has its positive impact, certainly. India proudly preserved a very sacred Georgian heritage, holy relics of Saint Ketevan on our land. And this is a matter of pride for us and a matter of very high emotional value for Georgians. Dear colleagues, the trade and economic relations with India and Georgia shows that there is much to be achieved, as our commerce and trade relations are not commensurate with our otherwise strong relationship. There is a large scope to improve it, which also my other colleagues emphasized. And just to give you some figures, Naidu sir mentioned about 100 million trade, which unfortunately is not the correct figure. We are much below this, Naidu sir. In fact, I give you the figure of 2018. We were 48.18 million. 2019, we are at 48.38 million, and 2020 again 48.45 million. So in the last 3 years, our trade has been flat. There is no increase. This is a worrying sign, I would say. So the total trade in 2020 between our countries was just 48.5 million US dollar, and it has a very heavy trade balance in favor of India. The export from Georgia is very small. So this figure is very minuscule when we compare with our total world trade, total world trade of India, which is close to US dollar, if I'm correct with figures, more than 575 billion annual, our world trade. And GDP of Georgia is US dollar 17.7 billion, the last figures, and per capita GDP is almost double of India, 4,696, and the Armenian economy is much smaller than Georgia, but trade with Armenia is higher than Georgian figure. So this shows the anomalies in the our trade and economic relations, and where in the areas we need to focus on. Similarly, the total investment in Georgia from India is little more than US dollar 400 million, though some big names like Tata are present in the Georgian market, but the figure itself is not great when we compare it to the potential of the Indian economy. And I'm not aware of any Georgian investment in India till now. And since our colleagues from Invest India are there, and I would request Ambassador Julius Willy also to pay attention that we need to have some Georgian presence in the Indian economy. And our friends from Invest India would be happy to facilitate that. There's a need to identify new sectors for investment in Georgia. At the same time, we need to attract Georgian investment in India. As you know, one of the biggest challenges for low trade has been lack of direct connectivity. Despite our best efforts, we could not start direct flight last year. Otherwise, which was almost decided. Unfortunately, arrival of COVID actually cancelled all our plans. The POTI port of Georgia is the only sea connectivity available currently. The COVID pandemic has posed a major challenge to the efforts made earlier for a direct flight between India and Georgia, and also it has marred our other events, commercial events which were planned. Now, let's talk about a little more of the sectors, though I'm afraid I would be repetitive on some points, but maybe you'll find something new here. As our Prime Minister has emphasized, the 3 T's, trade, tourism, and technology are very important to boost the economic diplomacy. For India and Georgia, the T of tourism is very important. Main areas of economic interest which can be developed are, in my view, education, where we already have a presence, agriculture, science and technology, mining, and tourism. Just to give you some figures, in the year 2019, more than 55,000 Indians visited Georgia. The number was even higher earlier. In 2020, due to COVID, these figures have come down, but these 55,000 numbers have grown in the last 3 years, which were earlier around 20,000 odd numbers. And it does not include many other Indians which are visited from, not directly from India, but some third countries like Gulf or other places. So actual number of Indians coming to Georgia is much higher than these figures. And we believe that the direct flight from India to Georgia would also increase the number of tourists from Georgia to India. And we would like to see more Georgians visiting India for tourism purpose. Textile is one of the top exporters in textile is one of the top India is one of the competency of India. In 2019, India was on third position in the world after China and EU, valuing 66 billion USD of exports. However, India occupies only 3% of Georgia's textile import share. And I believe Georgian market is more concentrated with Turkish textile products. We need to look into this sector. It's a quite promising sector. India enjoys a comparative advantage in terms of skilled manpower, and its cost of production, as you know, is relatively smaller compared to major textile producers. As you know, now India has emerged as pharmacy of the world, and we are helping the world to fight this current pandemic. And we have more than 60% of the world's vaccine production capacity. It is visible in India's vaccine matrix initiative, under which India has supplied vaccines to many countries, and I hope that Georgia will receive its first consignment hopefully soon. We both our embassy, Georgian embassy in India and our embassy in Armenia, we are trying on in this field. And pharmaceuticals also forms one of the major export items to Georgia, but there is a more scope in the Georgian market. As we mentioned about the energy sector, we already have presence of Tata Group in the hydropower sector in Georgia, in Sukhavi hydropower project. Recently, Georgian Prime Minister, His Excellency Mr. Irakli Garibashvili spoke in the defense of constructing new hydropower plants in the country, and hence hydropower remains the promising sector for collaboration between India and Georgia. Now, the important link to harness all these opportunities is improving the connectivity. The existing Batumi and Poti ports capacities need to be harnessed to its full capacity. We certainly need direct flight connectivity, and the development of deep sea Anakalia project will complement the existing trade route. We are already partner in this initiative. There is an existing agreement between JNPT and Anakalia project. Unfortunately, this project has been delayed due to some reasons. Further, Georgia's potential as a hub of transportation between Asia and Europe, once realized, will also increase the trade between our two countries. As Ambassador mentioned, the free trade agreement, we have already agreed to conclude this agreement, and feasibility study has been already concluded, has been agreed upon, and now negotiations are supposed to begin. Unfortunately, again, because of COVID, physical meeting could not be held, but I have requested the Georgian side that at least start with virtual meeting, at least some progress should be made, and both sides are positive on this. Hopefully, we will see soon a conclusion of the free trade agreement between our two countries. It will greatly enhance our further possibilities of economic integration between Georgia and India. Georgia and EU free trade agreement provides an opportunity for the Indian businesses to enter European market through Georgia. And of course, our FTA with Georgia only will be able to help once we have this in place. The COVID-19 has severely impacted the world economy, with the threat of recession looming over various countries. However, I am glad to hear from Aarti that there are projections for India's growth in double digit, this is a good news. However, we have to turn this crisis into opportunity. I hope today's session will be a step in that direction in order to explore new opportunities for collaboration between India and Georgia. Thank you very much for your patience and for patient hearing. Thank you, Arti.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Again, key takeaways from your comments. We'll make a note of them, and I'm sure with POTI, the Georgian Chamber of Commerce, Enterprise Georgia, and Invest India will roll them out during the course of the next financial year. As all of you have mentioned, the pandemic has impacted most economies on both the demand and supply side. So naturally, the question that arises is, how can economies of the world emerge from this slowdown in economic progress due to the pandemic? One way is to promote bilateral ties, collaboration between Indian states and the rest of the world. We are honored to have two states of India, two leading states, Maharashtra and Karnataka. Maharashtra, as we know, is a key state for attracting foreign investment into India. Its capital, Mumbai, is the financial capital of India. It is also the automobile manufacturing hub of India. The Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation is a key agency in the state. It ensures best arrangement for investments in the state with ideal industrial ecosystem for investors. MIDC also enhances Maharashtra's international outreach strategy to collaborate with countries from across the globe. I invite Mr. Abhishek Krishna, Joint CEO IT from MIDC, the Maharashtra Industrial Corporation, to kindly let us know how Maharashtra is a magnetic partner in India. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Aarti. Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone in India and in Georgia. Can you please play the presentation?
Yes, Mayank, I need the share rights, please.
It's been done.
Okay. Just give me a second, sir. There's always a time lag. Can my screen be? Can you see my screen now, sir?
Yeah, I can see.
Yes, it is visible.
I can.
It's opening up. It's just taking a little while. Is the screen visible now, sir?
Yeah, it is visible, but it is not full screen. It is. In any case, I can start the presentation, so we can go to the next slide.
Yeah.
So as you can see, the rest of the things have already been told by the speakers earlier to me. Maharashtra contributes to 2% of export to Georgia as far as India-Georgia trade is concerned. The next slide. What is advantage Maharashtra? Maharashtra is the largest GDP in India. It contributes to almost 16% of India's GDP. It has largest share in FDI. Almost 30% of FDI from India in India is in Maharashtra. It is leader in manufacturing. It contributes to 15% of industrial output. It is one of the highest per capita income state. It is a leader of exports also. 21% of exports of India's exports is from Maharashtra. We have best quality of workforce, best of the colleges. And also, Maharashtra is investing almost $40 billion US dollars in upcoming infrastructure projects. And because of that, now we are going to have metros in major cities. We are having a Samruddhi corridor, which connects the eastern part of Maharashtra to western part of Maharashtra, where the aim is that the freight corridor is made and a distance of 700 kilometers can be covered in 7 hours. Next, please. Maharashtra is also, it is first in highest employment talent. It is first in India's Justice Report. It is first in Invest India's state IPA ranking. It is second in Niti Aayog's India Innovation Index. It is first in Governance Index and Composite Water Management. And it is second in Niti Aayog's Export Preparedness Index. So as far as Maharashtra is concerned, it is either first or second in every index. Next, please. What is MIDC? So MIDC is a kind of one-stop shop for the industries in Maharashtra. MIDC acquires land, MIDC develops the land, MIDC converts it into industrial plots, then it allots the plot also, and after that, the maintenance of the whole area is also with MIDC. We have around 289 industrial complexes of such kind, and MIDC can boast of having around 1 lakh hectare of land with itself. And the total area of Maharashtra is around 3.3 lakh hectare, means 1/3 is with MIDC. We have also specialized parks like wine parks, silver parks, textile parks, food parks, IT parks. We also develop country-wise dedicated parks also, like in Supa we have a special Japanese park. So MIDC is kind of a one window system for Maharashtra's industrial development. Next slide, please. As far as Maharashtra is concerned, in the leading emerging sectors, we have 17% of share in chemicals, we have 20% of share in pharmaceuticals, we have 20% of share in automobiles. As RTG said, that Maharashtra is automobile hub of India, especially in the Chakan area. We have a good amount of share in ITES also. We are just second to Karnataka in that sense. In aerospace and defense also, it is almost 24% of the equipments are made in Maharashtra. Next, please. Maharashtra is, as far as auto sector is concerned, Maharashtra is top of automobile hub. As I said, that almost 20% of India's automobile output by value is in Maharashtra. Pune is the largest auto hub of India. Over 4,000 manufacturing units in Chakan Talegaon area is there. Volkswagen, Mercedes, Fiat, Skoda, all these companies are in Maharashtra. There are 8 auto OEMs with R&D centers in Pune and Aurangabad. We have dedicated institutes also like Automotive Research Association of India and Auto Cluster Development and Research Institute. Next, please. As far as pharmaceutical goes, in the pharmaceutical also almost 20% of India's exports is from Maharashtra. Around $2.6 billion worth pharma projects has been approved as of December 2019. There are 8 pharmaceutical and medical devices clusters in Pune, Mumbai, Aurangabad and Nashik. Serum Institute of India, which is making the vaccine Covishield, is also located in Maharashtra. There are 3 bio incubators in the state and 2 pharma SEZs, which are located in Nanded and Aurangabad. In new industrial policy, which has been adopted in 2019, biotechnology and pharmaceutical has been identified as such sectors, and a number of incentives have been provided for them. Next, please. As far as textile sector is concerned, Maharashtra is the 3rd largest exporter of textiles and apparels in the country. It is biggest exporter of cotton with global export share of 2.8%. Around 3,026 textile projects have been created by attracting around $2.85 billion US dollars. Investments and employment generation of around 0.3 million people has been made from 2011 to 2017. 25% of India's textile and apparel exports are channelized through Nhava Sheva Airport. We have textile parks in places like Amravati, in places like Malegaon. So we have textile clusters in Bhiwandi. We have textile clusters all across the state. Next, please. As far as engineering manufacturing sector is concerned, almost 17% of electronics and equipment manufacturing is done in Maharashtra. As per the economic survey 2019, basic and heavy metal comprise of around about 9.6% of total value of the state's output. Then a total of around 2,000 factories in Maharashtra for heavy manufacturing and equipment. Talegaon, Chakan, and Khed in Pune district are one of the largest and well-established engineering manufacturing hubs in the state. Next, please. AURIC, so we are coming up with, there is one Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor, of which AURIC is a part of. It is spread around 10,000 acres, and it is India's first greenfield smart industrial city. So in AURIC, what we have done that we are also going for a special pre-constructed sheds, so that if anyone wants to rent out, means not buy the land or take the land on lease, if they want on a rental model, then that can also be done. Besides that, it has a 24-hour power supply, it has effluent treatment plants, there is a walk-to-work concept. All the applications are online and single window clearance system is there. And AITL is the special planning authority. So one thing which I forgot to tell about MIDC, that MIDC for its land is a special planning authority also. So for building permission, for commencement certificate, or for completion certificate, a person is an applicant or an industrialist is not required to go to any other place. Next, please. So these are certain sectors. So in Maharashtra, what we have done that first of all, we came out with sector-specific policies. So like aerospace and defense manufacturing policy, ITES policy, fintech policy. In fact, now ITES policy is under revision, and within a month we'll come up with a new policy. Then textile policy and food processing policy, and all these policies, they were intertwined to bring out the new Maharashtra industrial policy of 2019, so that there is no discrepancy between a sector-specific policy and the general industrial policy of Maharashtra. Next, please. In recent times, in key reforms, we are coming up with a plug-and-play infrastructure. So as I told about AURIC, in plug-and-play infrastructure, we will allow investors to utilize a ready-to-use infrastructure. Around 250 acres of land has been identified in the 6 regions of Maharashtra, and 450 sheds have been decided to be constructed. So that is what I was saying, that if someone wants to take on lease or on a rental model, then that can also be done now in Maharashtra. We have come up with Mahaparvana, where more than 100 permissions, and it involves around more than 20 departments, and it's a single window clearance system for large investors, where the permissions to start operation is given within 48 hours. We have come up with the Mahajobs portal also. In this, it's a kind of a platform where an employer can identify employee of its need, or an aspirant can identify an employment of its need, and it's kind of platform where they can interact. We have also come up with Investor First program, in which a specific dedicated relationship manager and relationship executive is assigned to a large investor, and that investor is not required to do the follow-up. It is done by the relationship manager and relationship executive for coordinating with all the departments and with all the processes. Next, please. So what is the way forward now? So this is what we propose: to conduct a roundtable meeting with the Consul General of Georgia, identify the sectors of collaboration and enlist all the companies in that sector, then conduct meetings with the Georgian trade bodies, then conduct specific roundtable meetings with potential Georgian investors, invite Georgian delegation to visit Maharashtra and witness its industrial ecosystem, share the investment brochures of Maharashtra MIDC, audit and state policy with the Georgian investors and business. And then obviously facilitate them to open their industrial units in Maharashtra. So as far as Maharashtra is concerned, you can see that we are going in a large manner to enhance our infrastructure by infusing a lot of investment in it. Besides that, Maharashtra has already a well-established industrial ecosystem, and especially with MIDC being the single window system here, or a single stop shop, an investor is not required to go from one place to another for various kind of permissions. Next, these are certain renowned companies which are located in Maharashtra, and they are spread all across Maharashtra. I thank a lot for calling me for this webinar, and I hope that very soon we will have Georgian Roundtable Conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. In fact, Tamar from POTI was mentioning that later in the year, once physical events kick in, they were thinking of bringing a Georgian delegation to India. So definitely Maharashtra will be the second, if not the first stop. Thank you very much, sir. From Maharashtra, we move now to Karnataka, which is another dynamic state in India located in the southwestern region, a state steeped in history and culture, known for to be a great venue to set up industry. Bangalore, the capital of Karnataka, is the IT hub. It's also a leader in India's technology sector in terms of investments and exports, popular investment destination for auto, electronics, food processing, heavy machinery, etc. I now request, we have a new speaker, and I don't want to get the name wrong. Mrs. Phalguni Jain from Invest Karnataka. She will throw more light on Karnataka and the opportunities of collaboration between India and Karnataka. Over to you.
Thanks, Aarti. Honorable delegates and members on this forum. I am Phalguni Jain from Invest Karnataka Forum, and in the interest of time, I will keep my presentation a bit short, and we can share the details with you as required. So, is my screen visible? Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible. You may please proceed.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so quickly introducing, and Aarti already introduced the state, but just running through a quick introduction for the state. Karnataka is almost the size of Vietnam if you look at the GDP of about 230 billion. It is the third highest, the state has the third highest FDI, and the state is first in total exports if we include merchandise as well as the services exports. And recently, with the study done by Financial Times, it is the fastest growing technology cluster in India. Along with that, it is also first in the number of R&D centers in the state. It is first in terms of the renewable energy installed in the state. It is first in the India Innovation Index, which is published by Niti Aayog. And 400 of the Fortune 500 companies are present in the state. The state has actively taken multiple steps to enhance the investor friendliness in the state, and the new industrial policy was announced in August last year, wherein there is investment promotion subsidy of 2.25% being shared. Just a minute, there's some noise from my side. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so the new industrial policy was announced last year, which offers turnover linked subsidies to all investors, and especially investors of large size. And this amounts to 2.25% of the turnover, and this is applicable to all industries. And this policy exists in addition to sector specific policies as well, which we have for electronics, electric vehicles, or aerospace and defense, engineering, R&D, etc. The state offers employee for friendly working environment, and Bangalore is known very well to be one of the best cities in India for expats. And thirdly, the state is also taking multiple measures to enhance the ease of doing business. The state recently announced the affidavit based clearance system, which basically lets any investor start their business immediately in within 24 hours by giving moratorium on the approvals required. And along with this, there is also a single window which spans across multiple departments, so that the Georgian companies don't have to go to multiple departments to liaise and get things done, but have one single platform to get everything in place. So, based on our understanding of this agenda, and what the Georgian you may want to be interested in, we had selected 5 sectors here that we would want to talk about. And in the interest of time, I'll just keep it to this slide, and then if we want to go ahead, I can get into the details as well. So first is auto and auto components, and here we feel there is a good opportunity to invest in India and manufacture here to cater to the Indian market. And there are multiple investments coming in, and Karnataka is already home to 7+ auto OEMs and 50+ auto component manufacturers. India is also the hub for EV, and it is home to 45+ electric vehicle startups. It is also home to Toyota and Volvo, Scania, Tata, big names which are manufacturing auto or auto components here, who are also getting into electric vehicles. Second sector that I want to talk about is healthcare. Here, Karnataka holds 50% of India's biotech revenue and 10% of pharma revenue. The state has manufacturing as well as R&D well settled in the state, and along with that, 40% of the state's pharma output is exported. The state is also setting up a bulk drugs farm in the northern part of Karnataka, which will be close to Hyderabad, to give further boost to this sector. The third sector is electronics. Here, given the global shift in terms of the geopolitical trade shifts, there is significant opportunity to invest in India to manufacture electronics because of the large market in India itself, along with the export capabilities to Southeast Asia and as well as Europe and Georgia as well. And here we hold 40% of national share in electronic product design. And with the new electronics policy, the state is offering the highest subsidies across all states, wherein more than 25% of the investment is given back to the investor as subsidies. Fourth, I want to talk about aerospace and defense. Here you would already be aware that Karnataka ranks first in India when it comes to aerospace and defense production as well as exports. And 25% of India's aircraft and spacecraft industry is in Karnataka. And Boeing is also setting up an R&D center here in Bangalore. And 65% of India's aerospace exports are from Karnataka. And Karnataka is also home to HAL, which is Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, ISRO, which is the Space Research Organization of India. So it would be of great interest to interact with Georgian companies if this is of interest. And lastly, I wanted to talk about machine tools. Here again, Karnataka ranks first in India in terms of production. And there are multiple companies such as ABB who have set up manufacturing here. ABB is a Swiss company, and multiple high-tech companies which are being homed in the state. I have more details on each of these sectors in case anyone is interested. I can go through that as well. Otherwise, in the interest of time, I can move forward.
I think we can move forward, and of course we will share the presentation with everybody, and depending on the interest from Georgian side, we can definitely put them through to you.
Sure, makes sense. So then I'll just move to the second part of the presentation. Yeah, so apart from those sectors, we also have good ecosystem in some other sectors as well. For example, toys, wherein there is large shift happening from China to India, and it is also one of the sectors identified nationally by Niti Aayog. And the toy cluster has recently been set up in the state, which is partnering with multiple global companies. Then again, textiles is something in which the state has a strong offering and would be happy to partner with Georgian companies, along with food processing, wherein Karnataka is India's leader in coffee production, being home to 70% of India's coffee, and also for gherkins. And as earlier mentioned, Karnataka is the leader in innovation and startups. It is the world's fourth largest technology cluster and it's the fastest growing. And it is home to 30% of India's startups. This is a quick summary on the logistics. So the state is well connected to key demand centers and logistics gateways. It has 2 international airports and 6 domestic airports, and with a major port at Mangalore and well connected to Chennai, JNPT, and Krishnapatnam. These are the ports in neighboring states. And there are also dry ports within the state to ensure good connectivity to these ports. Coming to, so I think what we have right now on the screen, which is the labor, that is the highest strength of Karnataka, is what I believe, based on the tech ecosystem, the innovation ecosystem in the state. And along with that, the manufacturing ecosystem is also being enhanced as we speak. And, there are multiple ITIs and polytechnic colleges, which will help train the labor even better, along with the relaxed labor laws, such as women work timings and night shifts, increased overtime limit, etc. So that's all from my side. Just to summarize, we feel there are 6 key offerings that make Karnataka one of the most attractive investment destinations in India. The investor-friendly policies. We have the industrial policy, which applies to all sectors, and we also have sector-specific policies for electronics, data centers, EV, electric vehicles, etc. Then we have readily available developed industrial land with option of plug-and-play infrastructure as required by the companies. Revamped processes to facilitate ease of doing business, including the moratorium on approvals. Fourthly, Karnataka is home to highly skilled and trained labor workforce. And fifth is well-connected logistics, and sixth is the strong ecosystem of advanced manufacturing in the state. That's all from my side. Any questions?
I think we'll field them if they are nearer the end. Thank you very much, Falguni. Thank you very much, Maharashtra and Karnataka, for participating. We move now to the Georgian side with POTI, FIZ, and Enterprise Georgia. As we all know, and has been mentioned by one of the speakers earlier, in the ease of doing business rankings published by the World Bank for 2020, Georgia ranks high in starting a business and features on the list of top 10 improvers for 3 consecutive doing business cycles in the region. From Georgia, we have POTI, our partners for today's webinar, as well as Enterprise Georgia. POTI FIZ is the oldest, largest free zone in Georgia and most substantial in terms of the volumes being handled, and leading free zone in the Caucasus region on the Silk Road. I request David, Erbalatsa, and Tamar to kindly make their presentation on POTI Free Industrial Zone.
Dear Rati, thank you very much. By way of introduction, I would like to thank all of our esteemed participants for having a time to participate in this joint event. And going forward, I'm David Eberlitze. I'm the General Director of the POTI Free Industrial Zone. And as you mentioned, the POTI Free Industrial Zone is actually, in fact, the biggest free zone, not only Georgia, in the whole Caucasus region. Our story starts back in 2008, when the first law on free industrial zones was passed by the Georgian parliament. And since then, we took some time to elaborate and enact the respective legislative framework. And from 2010, November 15, we'll be fully functional. We're the biggest free zone in Georgia, namely we own and manage 300 hectares of land. And I would like to mention that we're the only free zone in the country where the government of Georgia holds the shares, being the shareholder. So I do think that this government being the partner in our company creates some additional comfort zone for the investors. Our pool of investors ranges from different areas, different countries. I think my deputy head of Chief Investment Relations Department, Mr. Mar, will elaborate more on our company. I'm going to stop here. Once again, I would like to thank all of you, and I'm going to pass word to Tamar. Tamar?
Thank you very much, dear guest. It's my pleasure to have as a speaker on this event. I have heard many times the word POTI, and possibility that you already had to experience to visit some of you to this nice city. And it's my pleasure to give you a short presentation about advantages and opportunities of First Free Industrial Zone of Georgia, which is offering different type of opportunities to different companies and also Indian companies as well. The Free Industrial Zone, this is one of the important projects created by the government of Georgia in 2010. This is the tax-free area, about 300 hectares, where different type of companies can easily participate, can easily have a company and run their businesses, manufacturing, trading, services, consulting, and etc. We are the first free zone and the only free zone in Georgia where the nominal share belongs to the government of Georgia. We offer different type of services to our companies who are operating in different types of businesses. We provide our investors cost-effective business setup packages, a range of licenses and modern facilities, as well as the first-class handling and support services. POTI Industrial Zone, this is adjacent directly to the port of POTI, and we are just 2 kilometers away from POTI port. The city is itself self-governing, located at the Black Sea coast. The city is distinguished by its unique geographical developed transport infrastructure, the transit roads, port and railway network, proximity to the key markets, labor resources, industrial potential, urban and recreational development opportunities. So the port of POTI has celebrated 162 years since they first received the virtual cargo flows which support and improve people's lives in Georgia and around Georgia, and still is continuing development. The city POTI itself is a very safe, cheap, and easily living condition offering to the foreigners and the local people. And we have, except of logistic and manufacturing advantages, it is an amazing place for the tourists. There is the Kolkheti National Park, referred as the Georgian Amazon, is the first natural site in Georgia to be nominated on the UNESCO World Heritage List for as a Kolkheti forest and wetland. So we will be happy also to see and to welcome Indian tourists to see this amazing forest. I would like right now to take your attention about free trade agreements, whatever the government of Georgia has signed with different countries. As you see, with this free trade access, companies can enjoy directly access to the 2.3 billion markets. So one of the important, this is CIS countries, which is the fast growing market in Caucasus region, also the whole European Union. We have also the GSP with United States, Canada, and Japan. So this gives manufacturers excellent opportunities to produce their products and export with the appropriate certificate of origins without import taxes. Now I would like to speak briefly about tax advantages, which offers a free industrial zone to the investor companies. As you see, there is no import tax, VAT, the profit tax, the dividend tax, the property tax. The only taxes applicable is the 15% for the service companies, the income tax 20%, and pension tax 2%. The free zone company can sell the goods to the Georgian market and also purchase the goods from the local market as well. And both cases, the free zone company is paying 4% taxes. We see the photo where you can see the port of POTI, which is 2 kilometers away from POTI Free Zone. So this area is the Free Industrial Zone, which is 3 hectares. The new port, which is right now under the construction directly, is located next to the free zone. We are directly linked with the POTI port and other part of Georgia by the railway line, which goes internally. In the red line, you see the development line of railway network, which will be directly connected with with port. The whole area of the free zone, this is 300 hectares. And at this moment, we have developed the first phase, which is located next to the customs area. So here is the infrastructure and utility opportunities that the free zone is offering to investor companies. As I have mentioned, we are developing the 300 hectares. This is excellent opportunities to the big companies, to those who are looking to have the huge areas for the business development. And we can offer example from 10 hectares up to 100 hectares to the different companies for development, for manufacturing or trading purposes. We have 2 customs checkpoints where the companies can declare within 20 minutes and receive and re-export their goods to the final destinations. We also have the customs checkpoints directed to the railway line, which means that we can receive both cargoes. There is electrical substation and high voltage line, and companies can easily be switched to this power and start their operation. We have the security checkpoint 24/7, and the most important issue is that all communal fees like electricity, water, and natural gas are free from 18% VAT, which means that this is the cheapest price in the whole Georgia in order to have electricity, water, and natural gas tariffs. How we register the company? This is very simple process. It just takes 1 working day. We identify the business, whatever the company is planning to do. Then they submit application, documentations. We register them in the public registry, and within 1 day we provide the license. So after license, company is fully operative and start immediately their process and their working process inside the free zone. I would like to underline that there is no minimum capital or the local partner is required to have a company inside the free zone. We have the different types of licenses. Actually, we have the 6 types of license. This is the manufacturing, trading, warehousing, consulting, and the services. And the issuing authority is directly the administrator. So we, as a POTI Free Industrial Zone, it is doable within working days. So what we are leasing? We are leasing the land plots, as I have mentioned, the smallest one, this is 1,000 square meter, and the biggest one could be 50 hectares and more. We are leasing the warehouses. It is A and B warehouses for the long and short-term periods. We provide also the legal addresses for those companies we just need to do only re-export without storing the goods, and also offices and smart offices for working for each of the investor. Of course, time by time, we always identify the primary sectors. And the best opportunity to develop their business through POTI Free Zone is the textile, the furniture, the pharmaceuticals, the logistic warehousing business, electrical and electronic products. I would like to underline the pharmaceutical products because the free zone of POTI became already a distributional hub of pharmaceutical products in CIS countries. We also have the variety sectors of trading businesses presented inside a free zone, like pharmaceuticals, industrial machinery, chemical production, food products, construction materials, apparel, ethanol spirits, tires and car spare parts. And also I would like to add that any type of business except of tobacco and military products can be registered inside a free zone and can run their businesses. We have created different type of packages for the companies looking to produce the products inside the free zone. So our proposal includes that to lease example, the minimum 3,000 square meter land in the minimal price inside our area. In this case, we provide the building permit just for $1. We give the moratorium period for land leasing payments within 6 months, which is free of charge. We making co-financing of electricity connection fee, which means that if investor requests ours from 100 to 200 kilowatt electricity, 50% will be paid by the free zone administration. The same we are providing for the water connection. So for the 6 months, we give the communal infrastructure fee for free. The company is only paying $8,000 for the license and legal address. We provide a personal assistant to the company who will handle all process, including licenses, including the permits, customs procedures and everything, who will be working with them the total period since from registration of the company and during the business, the whole business. We also provided the package for the trading companies as well. So in this case, the company is leasing minimum 1,000 square meter land. We provide the building permit for $1. Also, we are making for them as the electricity connection co-financing and finance 50% of electricity connection fee if it is requested done for the 100 or 200 kilowatts. We also pay 50% connection fee for the water connection for trader companies as well. Just only one thing they have to pay, this is $8,000, which is including the license and the legal address fee. And also they can use the personal assistance services for free. I would like to underline our project supporting the women entrepreneurs, which means that if the owners of the company will be the women, in this case, the registration fee only is for $1, and only license and legal address fees will be applicable for the company. I just wanted to underline the package for the traders, which they can have registration only for $6,500, and within 1 day they can have this company and start re-export or export procedures. I would like also to offer Indian consulting companies the payroll program, which means that the free zone can work with them on a commission basis in order to convince the companies inside the free zone. That means that we can provide the commission fees from $500 up to $2,500, and also can provide 7% of the total amount of the leased area for the land leasing and warehouse leasing. I would like also to underline one of the important packages, proposals for investment, which is investment proposal we call. It means that if the company invests more than $5 million inside the free zone and gives us auditing report confirming this investment within 18 months, we provide 5 years land leasing for free. They just pay only for 1 year, and next 5 years, this is without leasing amount, leasing fee. The size of leased land plots can be not more than 10 hectares, and the only license fee also, which they pay to us, this is $5,000 per year. Here is just information and the names of the factories operating inside the free zone since 2011. And they are from pharmaceutical products, perfume manufacturers, also the textile manufacturers, ethanol spirits manufacturers, lubricants manufacturers, tires manufacturers, construction building materials manufacturers, and etc. We will be happy to welcome and negotiate any projects with Indian companies, propose them the special proposals, and here is our contacts, and we will also share it through chat, and also we will be happy answer your questions in the Q&A sections. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Tamer and David, for your very elaborate presentation. I will, before saying anything, I think I'll move to Enterprise Georgia to make their presentation, because we've already overshot the time. As you know, Enterprise Georgia is the key implementing partner of Produce in Georgia and is responsible for business support, export promotion, and investment in Georgia in various sectors. I invite Mrs. Nino Kukhalia, Senior Investor Relations Manager, to kindly make her presentation. Over to you.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants. It is my pleasure and honor to participate in this webinar today and give you a presentation about business and investment opportunities of Georgia. Just before we get started our presentation, I would like to once again introduce myself. I'm Nino Kukhalia. I'm Senior Investor Relations Manager at Enterprise Georgia. And Enterprise Georgia is the governmental agency which operates under the Ministry of Economy and Sustainable Development of Georgia. And this is the main agency who is mandated to contribute to the development of private sector in Georgia, attract and promote foreign direct investment in the country, as well as facilitating Georgia's export potential. Now let's get started our presentation, and I will try to be short and quick. So I will share the presentation. Imagine you are observing a world map and try to identify Georgia. What you will see very easily is that Georgia is a small country, but with strategically important geographic location, as it is located in the Caucasus region between Caspian and the Black Sea, Turkey and Russia, and it can be said that we represent a crossroad between Europe and Asia, East and West. Georgia is a small country, but it has small market, but it has free access to 2.3 billion consumer market around the world. We have this access due to our free trade agreement with the European Union, China, CIS countries, including Russia, Ukraine, Turkey, EFTA countries, and EFTA countries. And we hope that we will have free trade agreement with India as well. We, as it already been discussed, we are recognized as one of the easiest places to do business in the world. According to the World Bank, we are 7th easiest country in the world to do business. And we are also recognized as one of the least tax burden countries in the world. corporate profit tax in Georgia is zero in case of reinvestment. And also, what is very important, we offer competitively priced, young and productive workforce. So Georgia is a small country, but with crucial geographic location, open and liberal market economy, and exceptional business environment. Now look at the structure and kind of a trends of Georgia. We are a small country with 3.7 million population. Our GDP per capita is around 4,763 USD dollar. However, Georgia before the pandemic experienced high rates of economic growth. For example, real GDP growth between 2015 and 2019 was around 4.1%. We were also a very popular country with foreign investors. We attracted 7.9 billion USD FDI between 2015 and 2019. And this FDI to GDP ratio is around 10%, which is really good. Of course, external shock of pandemic was wide-ranging, hitting export of goods, tourism, and remittances that are all very important pillars of Georgian economy. However, Georgia has sound macroeconomic framework, exceptional business environment, and robust public financial management arrangements that are expected to respond post-COVID recovery. As you might know, Georgia has made remarkable progress in terms of political, economic, and social development over the last decade. And our progress has been recognized and applauded by the international community. As you can see in this slide, we are 8th country in OECD FDI regulatory restrictiveness index. So we are 12th in the index of economic freedom published by the Heritage Foundation. According to Trace Bribery Risk Metrics, Georgia is the first in the contact with the government. And we are also first according to Rule of Law Index in Eastern Europe and Central Asia region. Also, Georgia is one of the safest countries in the world. According to Non-Violence Crime Index, we are 4th safest country in the world. What is very important, Georgia has a shared consensus on our national priorities, including our Euro-Atlantic integration, efficient governance, and strong growth. These kind of paved the way for signing the association agreement with the European Union in 2016, including deep and comprehensive free trade area with the European Union. And this is a kind of a recognition that Georgia has adopted European values, and it also further ensures the predictability of our political and investment environment. We already discussed many times that in Georgia it is really easy to start a business and dealing with bureaucracy. You can see that you spend less time on paperwork in Georgia rather than in OECD high-income average countries. For example, you need just 1 day to start a business, to register property, and so on. My next point is Georgia can position itself as a regional hub for global investment, trade, and so on. We are an ideal nearshoring destination for foreign companies because we are located in the heart of the Eurasia. We are the member of the European transport corridor. The new route which passes through Georgia from China to Europe takes only 10-15 days, when the traditional sea route, for example, takes up 45 days. So it creates huge opportunities for companies who are trying to find new location for their businesses. And also Georgia has excellent customs administration procedures, also very liberal customs duties, because 80% of the goods are exempted from the import tax in Georgia. We mentioned many times that Georgia is a small market from the global market standpoint. However, as we have the access to 2.3 billion consumer market, it means that companies can come to Georgia, produce in Georgia, and then export from Georgia preferentially without paying any taxes. Also, we are the only country in the region which has free trade agreement with China and European Union at the same time. So it creates new opportunities for companies as well. And we can really be proud of our very attractive tax system. We have just 6 taxes, flat taxes with very low rates. And what is very important, corporate profit tax is 15% in Georgia, but in case of reinvestment, it's 0. So if company decides not to distribute its earnings, it doesn't pay any corporate profit tax in Georgia at all. Also, Georgia can be proud of its skilled labor, its young and productive workforce. But at the same time, our labor is competitively priced. For example, average monthly salary for skilled labor in Georgia is around $435 when it comes to manufacturing industry, and when it comes to customer service industry, it's around $414. And also, labor productivity growth, as you can see, is 4.7% in Georgia. And we also have very free labor and flexible labor code. And the total workforce is around 1.9 million people. Government of Georgia works really hard on our talent pool. We have higher education institutions, vocational education schools that are providing graduates from different technical subjects and technical skills. And we are really work on our education system really hard. And also, very important point is that in Georgia, population 92% of our population has secondary education in Georgia, and also 98% is the literacy rates in Georgia. Also, very important point when we are talking about investment is operational costs. And Georgia has really competitive operative cost when we compare it to its competitor countries, as you can see. 80% of our electricity is produced from green energy, our hydropower plants, which leads to cheaper energy in Georgia because of that electricity price here is only 6.6 USD cents. Industrial gas is also very cheap in Georgia, 23 cents, and water 7.5 cents USD cents. Georgia also offers industrial properties and warehouses for foreign investors. And as you can see in this slide, weighted average rent for dry storages varies between 2-3 USD dollar for the per square meter. And in order to show that we support foreign businesses and to demonstrate our commitment to foreign companies and businesses here, we, Enterprise Georgia, Georgia has many incentives, and in addition to Enterprise Georgia, the country can offer many incentives to foreign investors. As you know, we have 4 free industrial zones in Georgia where companies can produce and then export without paying taxes in Georgia. We have special tax incentives also for IT sector with the virtual zone entity status, which gives IT companies opportunity not to pay profit tax in Georgia. And also companies who get international company status, they pay profit tax only 5% instead of 15%. Also, we can offer for manufacturing projects freelance on a symbolic price, of course, under some kind of investment obligation, and also we can provide some kind of subsidies and collateral guarantee co-financing to investors. And last but not least, we have new grant scheme, FDI grant scheme. So if companies decide to come to Georgia and produce in Georgia and set up manufacturing plant, government of Georgia is ready to give cashback of $300,000. Of course, under some kind of investment obligation, but we all agree that it's a huge opportunity if we add it to the Georgia's cost competitive environment. So we have cost competitive environment, excellent and exceptional business friendly environment, and in addition, government is ready to provide with some kind of tax incentives, some kind of free land and free land suggestions, and subsidies and also FDI grants for the companies. So if we take into account all the above mentioned, there has never been better time to invest in Georgia, because we are more open to new businesses, new ideas, and new investors than ever before. Thank you very much. If you have questions, I would be more than happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Nilo. That brings us almost to the end of our webinar today. A lot of takeaways and a lot of action items will follow from this, and I'm sure we will have more events to organize. I would now request Mr. David Ebralitze to kindly propose the closing remarks, if he's still there.
Yeah, I'm there. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if I can interrupt, can I then, once you have spoken, can I request everybody to switch on your videos so that we can take a nice screenshot for all our social media platforms, please? Yeah. Oh, David, over to you.
Dear Rati, thank you. I strongly believe that today's event, this webinar, was actually very fascinating. And once again, my sincere gratitude to all those people who participated in this event. I think that it is a good start and opportunity to have this upstanding inception for future business relations reinforcement is for us. I mean, POTI Free Industrial Zone, you've heard that we're the biggest, most strategic free zone in the country in terms of our location. So we'll be very glad to consider every project related to registrations in Georgia and POTI and give you the best offer possible. I think that the situation, I mean, the current status where we now, I mean, the countries like Georgia and India, these countries have two big economic potential, you know, the fact that two countries are in the process of doing the feasibility regarding the free trade agreement will further, you know, strengthen these cooperations. And once this free trade agreement will be finally executed and signed between the two countries, you know, we'll be glad to see a lot of investors coming to Georgia. I personally have never been in India, so should this pandemic situation worldwide give us an opportunity, I'll be glad to visit, to come in India and to see how the business works actually there. And once again, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all people, to my staff, to your site ASSOCHAM for the joint event, all the ambassadors and the interested parties who made this event happen today. And I'm certain that this process will continue, and we'll, on our side, we'll do our best to do an approach to different kinds of sectors step by step in the future. Once again, thank you very much, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you, Your Excellencies, both the ambassadors, POTI, of course, goes without saying, Tamar, and we have really worked well together, Enterprise Georgia, the states of Maharashtra and Karnataka in West India, and of course, my colleague, Mayank from ASSOCHAM. We look forward to organizing further events, more focused events on business, maybe B2B meetings, maybe roundtables, maybe even physical events in the future. Thank you.
I want to personally take this opportunity to thank you. Thank you for this initiative, for everything you've done. It's very important. As I mentioned, that from we established diplomatic relations 29 years ago in 1992, and since that time we've been working very hard to bring our countries closer. But as we see that we need to engage more and more, and from both our sides, from the embassies, Ambassador Doval would agree with me that it doesn't match our cooperation. Not we have excellent cooperation in the political arena, but we have to increase our cooperation in trade and investment. And of course, we should have more and more this kind of events, webinars, visits, and I'm sure that soon we are going to witness increase of our cooperation in that direction. Thank you very much to you personally again.
Thank you. Well, you're welcome, sir. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you, sir, from Excellency from Yerevan. Thank you. Tamar, thank you very much for being a wonderful, wonderful partner. Nino, thank you for coming in last minute. David, thank you as well.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank you
all the
very much.
states and everybody else. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.